Alright, this is a little frustrating and ridiculous. I'm kind of bored. I'm just about to run out of patience is all. It's just not the same. Really miss Amy Hennig right about now. Alright, I'm gonna stop me right there. I want to say some nice things about Blood Omen 2. It's not my favorite, but I don't want you to think that I think that Blood Omen 2 is a bad game. Because it's not. I'll say right now that Blood Omen 2 is far from perfect. Even saying it's good is a stretch.
What?
But it's certainly not the worst game of its time, and it does have its moments. They're just not the moments we've come to expect from Legacy of Kain. First, Blood Omen 2 is really strong in atmosphere. Meridian is a cool, interesting setting with a steampunk vibe that we haven't really seen in Legacy of Kain before. And the music is dark, rich, atmospheric, yet understated. Also, in contrast to the main story, there's some pretty entertaining NPC dialogue.
It reminds me of Sergio's use of Deus Ex Machina in order to resolve dilemmas of the ego.
I'm hungry.
Next, I don't think it's entirely fair to judge Blood Omen 2 by its first couple of hours because they're the most boring part of the game.
Train me. You take me for a dog.
Once you get jump and charm, things really do start to get more interesting. And nowhere does it get more interesting, at least in 2025, from my perspective, as it does in the combat. One thing that I liked about it is it had some mechanically interesting boss fights. You had to block, dodge, use your dark gifts, and study their attack patterns, and not just spam your quick attack all the time. I feel like this lends some relevance to Blood Omen 2 in the modern era, especially if you turn blocking from assisted to skilled. It's no Sekiro, but it is more engaging than a lot of games. Sebastian is still bull though. And now for some more complaints. If you're playing Blood Omen 2 for the first time in 2025, chances are you're playing the PS5 emulation. If you're on console, it's the easiest to obtain, and it either exacerbates or does nothing to fix the issues that were present in the original PS2 version, such as, but not limited to, really bad motion judder, missing music in boss fights, sound sync issues in cutscenes,
and bring about a new glorious age. Die, Kain.
and the occasional hilarious glitch, like this one. Story-wise, here's a quick summary. Just a heads up while I run through this super fast, so if you want to see a more detailed and accurate synopsis, check out this video. After history reshuffles at the end of Soul Reaver 2, we see Kain's new memories. After his choice at the Pillars, he raises an army to conquer Nosgoth. He's stopped at the city of Meridian and thrown down by a mysterious being known as the Seraphan Lord, who claims the Soul Reaver after the battle. Kain wakes up 200 years later to find he's been taken care of by Uma, a member of the vampire resistance known as the Cabal. Uma fills Kain in on what he's missed. Kain swears revenge, and after meeting Vorador, who is alive, somehow, killing some vampire traders and absorbing their powers and acquiring a stone that can defend against the Soul Reaver, he meets some helpful weirdos and learns about the Seraphan's diabolical doomsday device. Kain learns that the Seraphan are being controlled by the Hilden, the enemy race briefly mentioned in Soul Reaver 2.
My God, the Hilden.
Kain destroys the device and finds that the enslaved creature partially powering it was actually the resurrected Yanis Aldrin, for some reason, who returns to health after being freed and tells Kain to travel to the Hilden city across the sea to close the portal they've been coming through. Uma steals the Nexus Stone and doesn't get very far before Kain finds her mortally wounded. She begs for help, but Kain nudges the process along with his claws. Kain travels across the sea to the Hilden city, closes the portal, defeats the Seraphan Lord, and gives the Soul Reaver a nice meal. Kain continues his conquest of Nosgoth, and we're done. Really, when you look at the rest of the series, not super necessary. It doesn't affect any of the events of Soul Reaver 1, and Defiance is written and structured in such a way that you don't necessarily have to have played Blood Omen 2, which, thank God. The story's problems are pretty minor compared to the boring, expository dialogue that drags on forever and tells us little to nothing about the characters. And then, of course, the issues and inconsistencies with the characters themselves. There are some nuances that are lost. For instance, Kain was plenty callous in Blood Omen 1, but not necessarily needlessly cruel. Unless you played him that way, which, to be fair, a lot of us did. He even complains about waste at a couple of points.
The cretin squandered life and left it seeping on the floor. Such waste was a travesty.
Blood Omen 2 writes him as impulsive and, dare I say, even stupid at times.
I want the Seraphan Lord.
And I can buy that from him as a fledgling, brand spanking new, but not as the aspiring emperor of Nosgoth for the last 200 years of his life. Comparatively, that's a small issue. Vorador, who's one of my favorites, is a completely different character in Blood Omen 2 than he was in Blood Omen 1 and Soul Reaver 2. I can accept his resurrection, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, but how does this Vorador?
Drink deep and indulge your gift.
And this Vorador?
This world is beyond redemption. Let the human cattle have it.
Become this Vorador.
We need her information.
We need to save her life, Kain.
Another character I love, the legendary Yanis Audron, just spits exposition and dies.
No! Kain!
Well, I guess they kept that consistent. No character in Blood Omen 2 feels fully fleshed out, except for this guy.
Where is my meat?
We love you, Magnus, and the story itself felt less than necessary. Now, that's not to say this team wasn't talented. Glenn Schofield, the director, went on to create Dead Space and directed several Call of Duty games. Not exactly a lightweight. The point that I'm trying to make is that they seem to have drawn inspiration from a narrow interpretation of what made Blood Omen 1 so interesting. They didn't really understand the story or the characters the way that the Soul Reaver team and we, the fans, did. It also feels mean-spirited, which I know is a weird thing to say about a game in which you play as a vampire, but you get lore. Blood Omen 2's version of experience points for drinking from every creature. Human, spiders, which are hilarious, demon, Hilden, everything. Getting lore points from random passerby just encourages you mechanically to go and kill every random passerby. Which, I mean, once again, it's a video game, that who cares? But the mechanics rewarding that kind of slaughter gives it a mean-spirited feel that somehow the other ones didn't have. Blood Omen 1, you're like, yeah, you could feed off of anybody you wanted, and that was great. A lot of times I did because I kind of suck. Well, it's fun to do it here, but if you're getting experience for killing all of them, it kind of almost takes the fun and choice out of it. I kind of like being a prick, but the fact that that gets you to level up your health the fastest, I just kind of wish it was less consequential and more just silly slaughtering fun.
No, get away from me.
So, yeah, just my opinion, with apologies to those of you who really love Blood Omen 2, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments. I don't think it is a bad game, especially not when you put it up against other games of the era. If you're looking for a solid Legacy of Kain game with rich dialogue and Byzantine story like we've come to expect from the Legacy of Kain series, look elsewhere. These aren't the vampires you're looking for.
Yes, drink, my dark prince.
But if you're just looking for a fun vampire game where you can hit people in the crotch with an axe and suck gallons of blood, check it out. You could have a worse time. Like getting hit in the crotch with an axe. That's not a good time.
Wow.
Thanks for watching, and if you like what you see and want to see more, do the things.